show it right at the end of this talk. Right at the end, I'll bring Carrie, our amazing night vision photographer, to throw it up on the side, as well as the orbs. You can see the orbs on real time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started now. We're a little bit over anyway. Ready? Okay, our next speaker is known for his inappropriate humor. Very unspiritual humor. So, anyway, I know he's awesome. So, anyway, we've got, I'm going to go ahead and go through with this. Our next speaker is James Gilliland. Okay. You know what? This is all about just having fun, basically. We don't do piousness here. A lot of you have figured that out. Piousness gets you nowhere in the spirit world, you know, other than in a little box. So we don't do boxes, we don't do piousness here, and we have a lot of fun. And in near-death experience, when I crossed over, I ended up in the golden plane of bliss, and I found out there was the most loving, joyous consciousness and energy there, and I was part of that energy. I was a light being, I was unique yet one. But I was aware of this greater consciousness, this golden light that surrounded me. It was the most loving, joyous, blissful energy I could imagine. And I had to totally deprogram while I was there. So the first thing I asked was, how can I stay? And this transmission came back to me and it said, I never told one of my children when to come or go. That's free will. And I'm going, wait a minute, that's not the way I was taught. You know. So the next thing I asked was, how can I earn the right to stay? And it came back to me again, and it says, you cannot earn what is given freely and unconditionally. And so I'm going, okay. So next thing you know, I'm saying, well, how can I serve? Because you just want to give back to that energy. You want to give back. And for a long time, floating in the bliss, they call it the cradle of God. There's all these names for it. And I asked, how can I serve and give something back? And there was the transmission came back to me, and it just said, you know, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And that's where I had the big epiphany, you know, that basically the source is just pure bliss. That's what it is. So when you're in your bliss or you're in your joy, you're doing what you're here to do. You're following your own unique purpose for being here. That's when you're really in alignment with your soul purpose, which is hooked into the source itself. And that's where your bliss comes from. And that was my experience, you know, after that near-death experience. And the last thing I said was, I really want to return and teach people about the true nature of source. It's not what we've been taught in religions and everything else. You know, there's no little old man with a beard, you know, that's waiting to punish us. That's the bearded God came from the Anunnaki. That's where we got the image of the bearded God. And some of the bearded gods were here were really nice, and some were not so nice, you know. So that's why you have a polarity in religions right now. You have the old God of the Old Testament, you know, which was a wrathful tyrant, and then you have the new God, which was all loving and all forgiving in the New Testament, which Jesus represented. So anyway, that's a very short, condensed version. I've written the rest of it in the books if you want to read the rest of that, but that's how we've gotten programmed. And so, you know, we're going like this. We think there's some separation in omnipresence, which is the big cosmic joke. And there isn't. The Creator's omnipresent in all creation. It's in every one of you here. There's no one here that's separate from omnipresence. You wouldn't be here. So, and you all have your own unique purpose for being here. And it's not up to me or any other guru to tell you what it is. It's up to you to find out what that is. So everything we do here at the ranch is very empowering. It's here to awaken the God within you And it's not to create, if you notice my name tag, it says nobody. And so that's why I wear that. But anyway, there's no following here. There's just a lot of like-minded people gathering together, having fun. That's the path, basically. Do what brings you joy. So I'm going to go through this presentation. There's some amazing things that are happening here, and I'm going to try to tie the higher dimensional aspects of spirit into the UFO picture. And I was going to say that the title of this talk is Beyond Acceptance and Approval, which for 24 years I've been hammering on the status quo, and in every field, even the UFO community, I'm probably one of the least liked person in the UFO community, because I do bring the bigger picture in. And so it's very fractured in the UFO community. You have people that want nuts and bolts. You have people that are victims, that want to make it all bad, all negative. And then you have people that want to make it all good. It's all spiritual, it's all good. And the bottom line, it's all the above, And so we're all magnetizing people and events to us according to our consciousness. And if we want to go play in the negative, agenda, we can do that. If we want to experience the higher consciousness and energy, we can do that. And who chooses? We choose. So anyway, there are tools of empowerment where you can maintain your own self-authority. You can heal unseen negative influences and things like that. We need to learn those tools. We were thrown down onto this planet without the guidebook, sort of the manual. And but the manual's here. And basically, the books I've written and everything else is to reintroduce you to the manual that's here. That everybody has the manual. We just have to tap into it and reawaken. But I'm sure that the majority of you here, I'm curious, how many people have seen a UFO in the audience here? Somebody take a picture of this? This is like the whole crowd here. Okay. Yeah. We have a real deep hole for you in the back corner. What's that? Oh yeah? Nice. Yeah, we have some satellites outside, but don't everybody go flooding out there, they'll be back. There's some daylight satellites flying over that are masking themselves as UFOs. I don't know why they're doing it. But anyway, the stuff that was filmed last night, we'll put that up, which will kind of end that program. But there's so much going on. I wanted to talk about the more the spiritual side of what's happening with contact. And unfortunately, it's very sad because there's a lot of very powerful women in the UFO field that have been kind of shut out, and because they come from the heart and they feel what's going on and they feel the connection. Which goes into the next question I want to ask is, how many people feel they've been contacted on an energy level or an inner level by UFOs? Does anybody answer? I got news for you. If you saw the ship, you're probably contacted. There's probably a lot more that went on that you know about, that your conscious mind has allowed you to perceive. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You actually see with your brain. Your brain chooses what you see. And there's a lot more going on that your brain has not chosen to reveal to you. It's in your subconscious. And you can access that and bring that out later. But as John Kelly was saying, there's a lot of people that saw UFOs. They talk about UFOs, but a lot more happen than they're aware of. And so, with a lot of people like Mary Rodwell here that does the regressions and the other things, she brings out that information, and then there's a lot more to the story. So, but to start in, I want to go through, hopefully this will work. We had a quick change. This is Khan, and Khan is the one, he's a Japanese monk, and he spends a lot of his time in dark retreats in a cave, living in a cave. And here's a picture of him. It looks like he's doing the Red Phoenix here, and doing his Kundalini practices after coming out of the cave. And he's one of the master teachers that comes here and teaches. And this is right after him doing a 21-day retreat. And if anybody knows Con or has met Con, you'll know he has impeccable integrity. He's just this big, giant mountain of bliss, you know, wonderful guy. No agenda whatsoever. But he has this ability. Here's us just kind of kicking it, you know, with one of his photos. This is Con. We're just kind of having fun here in the conference building. And then here's him doing one of his practices, his rainbow body practice. And you can see he's starting to do the, you know, shift out. He's starting to phase out. And I'm going to show you a lot of phase outs here. Here he's starting to phase out again. Here he's almost gone. here he's taken off. Now what's happening with Con is that he's having trouble, he's doing these bilocations and he's having trouble controlling it. And he takes off and he ends up in Korea or China, or ends up under like 10 feet of snow. He has to dig himself out. And he's bouncing all over the place. It's hilarious, you know, but it's one of the things of self-mastery. You start having these abilities and then you have to figure out, you know, again, he doesn't, you know, we're getting the manual as we go. And so there are master teachers who can help you along the way, but it's kind of a learn as you go. And this is going to be happening a lot around the planet. This is somebody who did his practices, you know. I'm going to go further. These are more. Now, he was out front here, and this is really interesting. His first visit here, he's sitting out and meditating in the field of dreams out there. And this wonderful light starts appearing to him, and he takes his cell phone and hits the picture mode, you know, and takes a picture of this wonderful light appearing to him. Now, here's the second picture, and there were actually Japanese newspaper people here doing an article on him. And here's the second picture. I'll go through, and here's the third picture. And they took his camera apart, they looked at his cell phone, they looked exactly when the picture was taken, everything, and they fully documented that. And this is actually Kuan Yin appearing in the field right out here to Con. Here's an ancient painting on the right of Kuan Yin. And you can see here's the photograph of her on the left. And, you know, so this is one of the interesting phenomena. This is the first phenomenon that happened while he was here. Now, here's another phenomenon. This has been going on for a long time. This is actually taken by Mona, our camera person over here, and she took a picture right, whoops, after the clearing of that. And that's actually Mary's energy appearing with a shaft of orange light going off of Buddha's head, hitting me in the back. And I have a disc problem, L5, that acts up now and then, and I felt like I weighed 10 pounds that whole day after that shift happened. And the little blue lights at the bottom here, those are the ones that John Kelly in reverse speech asked me, you know, they asked me who was, what are those little blue lights at the bottom of the camera? And I said, you know, I have no idea, I think they're nature spirits. And when they reverse speeched what I said, Mary's elves say to love her. Clears a bell. So we're tying this all together. All the kingdoms are starting to come together here. The veils are very thin, you know, here. So things happen here. If you're open to it, if you open this, the universe opens. Okay, then I asked him, I said, you know, Ezekiel appears to me as this beautiful golden light all the time. And Ezekiel is the god of eternal bliss. It's an ascended version of Ezekiel and Cassia, which merged as one being. And so it's both male and female coming from the highest levels, from the plane of bliss. And basically this whole building is kind of inspired by Ezekiel, and their energy is anchored in here. Now this is really interesting. Mihal saw this photograph. He goes, you know, that looks like the Dome of the Rock in the background. This looks like an ancient city. Problem is, it was taken out in the field, you know, with the cell phone, with no flash. And you can see there's nothing out there, but there are other dimensions right alongside of this one. So there's like a crystal city out there in another dimension, or another event going on there that we can't see, because, you know, we can only see a small band in the electromagnetic light spectrum. There's other worlds within worlds, other realms right alongside of us that are going on. Here's another apparition that appeared over in the trees. This is in the same field over to the left. I can go further. Now this is Mary appearing in Medjugorje, and they've never released her messages. And the reason why they didn't release her messages is because, she told them to get your, what's my little computer's acting up here, get your act together. She told the church, you're going to go down if you don't shift back into service and help the sick and feed the hungry and help the homeless, and that's your job. She said, if you don't get your act together, you're going to go down. And she said, there's going to be huge changes on this planet if we don't get our act together. And they didn't want to bring that message out. And so that's why they've censored, the messages, and the kids and everything were really guarded, we're not allowed to speak. And it's sad, but I mean, she's here now talking to anybody that wants to hear. So again, there are things on the books. We can change that reality. We are in the middle of that reality right now. And if we start shifting this paradigm, shifting this timeline, we can move and change this event. Now, did this happen in the past? Did UFOs have anything to do with spirituality? Here's Mary praying. This is an old fresco. Now here's the ship. Here's a close-up of the ship. I'll go back. Whoops, here's Mary praying. Here's the golden beam of energy coming down. And here's the ship. Now, this isn't a, people go, well, that was just a mistake, the artist, slipped with his brush, or some bug landed there. I've heard so many ridiculous stories about this that it's not even worth getting into. Now, Khan, while he was his second visit here, he was walked out of his room and it was light. It was like 3 in the morning and it was light. He couldn't figure out where the light was coming from. So he stepped out of his room, and he saw this beautiful blue light appearing to him. And I've had the same experiences where this light has appeared to me, and then Mary stepped out of this light. And so his next photograph was this. And you can see this is it's kind of washed out. It's really hard to see because she's in another dimension. She's in a higher dimension. And so after he got that picture, I was sitting there, God, I wish she could just show herself a little clearer, I really would love to see her face a little clearer. So we're in the self-mastery class in here, doing the teacher's training. And right in the middle of the training, Khan was actually sitting in the back, and he goes, oh my God, and he's sitting back there, and he pulls his camera out, and he goes, takes his picture. And now he has a camera, so somebody got him a camera after the last pictures. And, which was smart, but, and there's the next picture. So now she's coming into this dimension even stronger, So I mean, the Catholic Church is going to have a real problem with this. Why is Mary appearing here? You really think about it. What are they going to do with that? Here's these crazy UFO people, and Mary's appearing to them. That doesn't make sense. We own Mary. She's in our pocket. I got news for Mary is a universal being. All the masters are universal beings. And when they leave this, do their work here, and deliver their message, and do their walk here, guess where they go? They go back to the star nations. They go back to the Pleiades, back to the Orion Council of Light, back to the Andromedas. That's where they go. And then they decide when to come back again, when it's time. And guess what? Just about a lot of people in this room did the same thing, or you wouldn't be here. So you've had lives in the Pleiades, in the Andromedas, you've been, in the Orion system, you've been in Lyra, you've been in all these systems. And actually you came from the very source itself. That's where you came from. And you stepped down through the dimensions to this third dimension to experience physical reality and free will and powerful emotions. And this is the biggest challenge. This is where the bravest of angels came to do their thing, to master this. And why did you come here? Because gods don't do boring things, It's you need a challenge, That source always wants to lose itself and then find itself again. It's this ongoing program. So a lot of us are going to start finding yourself very quickly in the days to come, because there's energies coming in that are going to initiate you. These beings are going to come in and start initiating you and waking you up, and they're going to come in your dreams and your meditations and your visions, and you're going to start seeing things that are going to blow your minds. And it's very, very important when you do see these things, don't flip out. you know. Don't get into fear and run and grab a tree like some people do, you know. Like one woman goes, she goes, I want him down, I want him to land right now. I want to get on the ship. She goes, I want him to land, I'm ready, like this. All of a sudden this huge gold ship, it was after a sweat lodge. This huge gold ship starts coming in, it's getting bigger and bigger coming to her. She's going, oh, and she runs and grabs a tree. She's hanging onto this tree, you know. So you think you're ready. And I'll tell you, there's two things that happen. One is there's an exchange, an energy exchange, which brings up your fears, your wounds, your traumas. These are very, very high frequency beings. And the other thing is there's a shock thing that happens. It's a total shock to your reality. And though on this, our conscious mind go, yeah, I want to see one, I want to go up and shake their hand and everything else. When it happens, it's very different. I mean, all of a sudden you're going, oh crap, you know, and are these grays? Are they going to probe me? Are they going to, you know, what are they going to do to me? You know, and they're going, I'm not, you know, so little at a time. It has to happen a little at a time. And that's, when you have a big group here, if you have a really awesome group that's unified in consciousness, that really wants to have this happen, that sets the intent, you know, that's how close they're going to come. And they do have their own guidelines and their own timelines that they're working within as well. But that's why there's so much activity here, is because we've risen to the occasion, we've set the intent, and, you know, through the power of the secret, you know, we've set the intention and we've manifested that and drawn that to us. And I could talk a lot about the secret. I want to get into there, but the secret to me is a major infomercial for commercialism, you know. So, you know, but it's good. I mean, it does get people start using their mind and shifting into creationary mind versus reactionary mind. There is a good aspect to it, but you aren't going to manifest squat diddly if you've got all these guilt and fear and worthiness programs running in your subconscious you haven't dealt with. They're going to block you every time. So what do you do when you try to manifest that $1 million? You know what's going to come up first? All of your lack consciousness, all of your unworthiness. Everything else is going to come up before that $1 million. And then after you get the $1 million, you go, oh yeah, I got this $1 million. Now I can be happy. You know? You're going, wait a second. Why can't you just be happy? You know, money's fine. You know, frog skins are cool. You know, you can buy things with them and everything else. But you know, material objects have no joy. They have no bliss. There's no love in material objects. So where does it come from? Here. It always is generated here. And that's what we need to get back to in the days to come. We need to simplify. We need to get back into creationary mind, start creating our reality, change it. Don't get into reactionary mind, which the TVs are taking you. They're taking you into this total economic, environmental, social collapse. That's where they want to take you. Don't take that road. Pull out of it and start creating a different reality. And that's what these beings are here to teach us. I asked Pleiadians, why are you here? And they said to release the past. And I go, I think I get that, but can you go a little more into detail? And they said your past is creating your tomorrow. And so basically they're here to help us, you know, release the past. But the old programs. I'm going to go further. Now this is wonderful. Con, your second visit here, he was out meditating on the mound here where we do a lot of meditation work and things. And for 24 years I've been on that mound meditating, and it's a crazy place. People start disappearing there a lot, and you photograph them and they're gone. They're there and then they're gone. I'll go more into that, but here's the felines coming in. And you know, Avatar has a powerful message, very, very powerful message. If anybody hasn't seen it, go see it. But we've been dealing with these beings for a long, long time. These are 6-dimensional felines that we've been working with. And so he takes a picture of this. Now here's the feline appearing to him. And he said this is Cha, it's a female. And he said she's about 10 feet tall, at least 10 feet, 10 to 12 feet tall. And it's funny, he goes, you know, very sexy, you know, very sexy body. You know, he's going like, it's really funny when he was describing her. He goes, he's holding his heart, and he goes, oh, so much love, you know. And he goes, very sexy body. So it was kind of funny watching that. But anyway, there's another photograph. He took several photographs. of them while they appeared to him on the mount. Now this is Bagit, and this is one of the feminine, the Syrians that I've been working with quite a bit. And a lot of people, when you see this picture, electronics go weird around me, so have patience. When you see this picture, this thing will resonate in your soul. It's going to go, wait a second, that feels like I know this, that something about this. And other people aren't going to get anything from it because you haven't been it. But some of you here have actually been these beings, and you've had other lifetimes where you've actually been, you know, in the Sirius systems, and you've actually experienced these beings. So, you know, and what's really interesting is here he gets a photograph of a being, and then this is a little different variety of the same beings, but these are the, this is Bagit. If you want to meditate and ask Bagit to hook up to you, you know, these beings are extremely telepathic, and they will hear you. Now I'm going to talk about altering your realities. Here's you know, 14 times a second we're phasing in and out of existence. We're going between a wave and a particle. And so basically, here's this picture of actually phasing between when you slow time down and you do your practices, you start slowing time down and you start like becoming more of a wave or more or less dense physical. Here I'm screwing around for a picture. I was just messing around. You can see the shifts, the energies, you know, happening. This is actually building the tower up there, the observation tower. Now here's another one. This is this doubling effect that happens. And a lot of people go, well, that's your camera shaking or moving, but why isn't everything else double in the background? You know, it's everything else is in focus. It's not doubling, you know, so there's an effect going on there. Now, Tom Dongo, I was doing a Tibetan meditation, out-of-body practice, and you can see the lower body, my eyes are actually closed. As I'm going out of body, you see the second body moving out, and my eyes are open. And you see the bands of energy. You spin your bands. It's a technique where you get your band spinning. When you do meditation, you know when you start rocking, a lot of times in your meditation, you'll start moving like this. That's your band spinning. You know, when you get your bands really spinning, you go out. You know, if you go, so I'm trying to remember which way it was. I think it's, I don't know. It just happens naturally with me. I don't want to say it because I'll probably get it wrong. Okay, here's Pam took this picture. Here I'm standing in the field, out there in the field of dreams. The next picture she took was this, just pure energy. And all you see is energy. And then guess what? An orb. This is what you are when you get past your need for form. This is your higher aspect of self. You don't need form anymore. I'm going to go back. Here's another woman disappearing. You can see right through her. And you can see her other body stepping in front of her. And I'm going to lead up to something with all this. This is, I think it's Amika. I always forget get her name wrong. But you can see her teaching a meditation class here. And here she's vanishing. She's disappearing. There's always this golden light that seems to be associated with that. Here's Tom, one of our helpers here. You can see him phasing out. Here's Nate. Notice the chair, you can see right through his leg. And you can see the chair right through his... Nate doesn't know I have these pictures, so he's squirming over here right now. We're going to make him squirm a little more. Here he is again. You can see the chairs through him. Here he is meditating. I saw Jesus. And here's that golden light again coming in. So I like to make everybody else famous here. See, when I make everybody else famous, they leave me alone, you know, so I shift the energy out to everybody else. And if you start following me, I'll have to do something really stupid or rude to get you to go away. So don't make me do that. But here's another one. Just now, what's happening here? Why are they phasing in and out? Why are there orbs all around him? You know, what's going on here? I mean, these guys look really pious, don't they? I mean, they should be on their knees with a Bible, you know, in their pew. You can't talk to God this way. That doesn't work. But anyway, here we go again. But you can see, you know, you start phasing out. Now look at the energy around Jana's hands. See this wonderful pink energy coming off the hands, and it's coming off his leg there? You know, that's part of the process. That's a beautiful energy. It's that divine love, feminine energy, and very nurturing energy. And she does a lot of our gardening here. She works very close with the nature spirits and everything. So you think about it, what happens when you take that energy and you put it on a seed or put it with the plants and then you eat those plants? What happens? You know, your body changes frequency. Here's this is another one of our ECETI angels here, phasing out. There, she's starting to phase out. She didn't put her seatbelt on. There, she's taking off. This happens in the classes. This is not